Can you imagine your life where money is your friend, working with you to achieve all your dreams and desires? If you struggle seeing money as your friend, then join Kathy Cook Noble, financial advisor and educator on understanding how your money can work for you. It is possible. Now, here is Financially Speaking with Kathy Cook Noble.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host of Financially Speaking, and we here at the network dedicate our time and frankly our whole life to doing what we can to help other people in our particular area of expertise. And every Monday night we come together and we talk about financial stuff, and most of that stuff is what we would really need to understand with our finances. So the everyday financial stuff for us, not having to understand our cousins and our neighbors and all that complicated stuff we see on TV, because the reality is most of us don't have to deal with several houses and 6 yachts and all that other stuff. So what we look at here on Monday nights is individual topics that are broken down and explained, or hopefully taken some of the confusion out. And all the show topics come from people that have made suggestions to me or have asked me questions, or during my day in my day job as an advisor and a bookkeeper, the questions that I get asked a lot. So we try and break those down here. And if ever there's a question that you want answered or some piece of information you're confused about, please feel free to write in or call or contact us through our live chat room on Monday nights, and I will cover that for you. And then we have these other nights where we're super lucky, and I like to think that everybody else is lucky because it's not just me that's talking, and I bring in these special guests. And last week, we had our first guest who happened to be my brother and business partner. And we started off our small business sessions that we're going to look at doing, because the real truth of the matter is the pandemic that we're still finding ourselves in, frankly, has been super, super hard on small business. And small business, we talked about when we first kicked off our series, is, businesses that have less than 100 employees, and probably the reality is less than 50 or 25. And that's what really makes up the family and small business category. And tonight we have a guest on who is just a spectacular business lady and person in general. So I want to introduce Katina Kritikos. She is the owner of Ethos Rejuvenation Centre in London, Ontario. And she has been in business for many, many years, and we're going to talk to her about that. And her particular business we're going to talk a lot about, because she is exactly the kind of business who could not just keep her doors open because of the mandate with the government for the pandemic closure, and 100% closing your business and how that affects you. And I'm going to just start right off saying, if it wasn't for the fact that Katina had the experience and the ability that she has, like so many other businesses do not and have not, her story would be significantly different. She was on a growth path, and direction changed sharply when the pandemic struck and she was forced to shut down. But she has, over the last year, had to adapt her business operations, including the way she does how she treats her clients, how she sees her clients, the treatment she's allowed to offer and can offer. She's going to talk about surviving and even revitalizing her business during a very difficult time. She is the heart and soul of Ethos Rejuvenation Centre. She has a beautiful and phenomenal staff, and her clients adore her. She has turned a passion for beauty into holistic, peaceful, and successful business in Ethos. And she truly approaches each client in a very personal way. And I'm just going to say on the side, it's always a little scary when you see Katina, because she's so good at reading your skin. It's almost like you have a mind reader. And I've even sent some very close friends and family and my staff over to see her. And they've said it's like she can read my mind when she sees my face and starts analyzing my skin. And it's very, very true. I have witnessed it myself firsthand. It's very, very true. So she's a bit of a mind reader as well. But Katina has really made a huge impact on the skin and body industry, if you will. And by doing that, she's really infused a lot of her own her personal characteristics and into her staff as well. And she's able, believe it or not, she's one of the few people I've seen in business that can can train people, if you will, to be passionate. And with that, Katina, welcome to Financially Speaking. So excited to have you here.
That was a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, it probably was underscored and underrated, quite honestly, from the stuff that people say about you. And I'm super, super happy that we got you on, because your business is one of the kinds of businesses that has had a huge impact. So maybe share a little bit with what you do, how long you've been doing it, and the different services you have. And then we'll talk about how much of a change your business has gone through in the last 12 months.
Absolutely. Well, I started in 1997, and I was on Richmond Row for about 15 years. Then our lease came up. We couldn't buy the building, and the renewal process was difficult with our landlord. And we pivoted, and we went to another location. A second location there for 10, and then I made the conscious decision to shift again. And in 2019 or 2018, the end of 2018, we moved to a larger location, probably 4 times the size of my last one. So it was quite the endeavor. And a year and a half later, we have the pandemic. So it was quite the stressful situation for personal care services and businesses. I started with a passion for skincare, and also knowing that our skin has a memory, and it's, going back to a very holistic approach, using also medical devices to enhance what we already do. So it's nothing new, but it was something that actually I really am passionate about, not injecting and slicing, cutting. Oh, it's really enhancing your own beauty, and where people look at you and go, wow, she looks fantastic, but not fake. So it's your own natural beauty. I encourage your own cells. We have technology that helps, build on your own, your own rejuvenation or your own restructuring. So it's a hard thing to say, what do I do? It's really a very holistic approach to skincare, looking at your environment, how you work, who you are, what's going on in your with your health and well-being, and then fusing technologies into our treatments as well. So it's a combination of both.
Yeah, that's and Katina's clinic is beautiful, obviously, just like you would expect, and it really is a unique location. And I know people come from all over Ontario. We're in Canada here, and Ontario specifically. They come from all over the province to see Katina. So getting her on the show is a real score for us, because she is she's kind of a big deal in the skincare industry. But I know, Katina, you have a lot of passion for skincare, and I know it started at a very early age for you.
Absolutely. My mom had been sick most of my life, so she found that my hands made her feel better. So I started 5 years old, just really doing massage and even movements that I shouldn't know at 5 years old, and later on, 20 some odd years later, when I started going back into this industry, people would be like, oh, where did you train on, shamanic healing or integrated energy work? And I hadn't had any formalized training. I just knew how to read the body and let the body tell me what's going on. And so I started very young, and it wasn't really the approach. I wasn't going into this industry at all. I, went to university, took psychology, visual arts, was a travel agent at one point, worked in banking, so there's a plethora of things that I did in my 20s. And near the end of my 20s, I really wasn't fulfilled with what I was doing, and it wasn't passionate. I was working in the bank, and I wasn't passionate about it. And to be honest with you, financially, it was a good opportunity for me, but I wasn't in a place where I needed to have that job. I really needed to be passionate about what I was doing. So I kind of gave up everything and really dove into this industry, and did never look, and I haven't looked back. It's been I think graduated in 1996 and opened in 1997, and marriage, 2 kids later, divorce, shifting in life, and I haven't looked back. I love this industry.
Yeah, yeah, and it shows for sure. I'm going to ask you specifically about some of the treatments that you have, but I want to share real quick for people because I'm a numbers person, and people know that I'm usually a straight line. And I saw Katina, and I do a lot of driving for my practice because I have a practice that has a lot of clients outside of my particular geography. And I was driving an awful lot, and I saw Katina, and she said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, just," and I usually don't have issues, but my sciatica, I never heard of this, never had a problem, but I had this shooting pain down my legs. And she's like, "Yeah, I can tell." She said, "I want you to try this infrared that I have." And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like, it'll go away. I'll will it away or whatever." She's like, "Nope, you're going to go in right now and you're going to try it." I said, "Okay." So, because you don't say no to Katina. And I said, "Okay." And I went in, and I was in there for about 30 minutes. And I came back out, and I was talking to her, and I realized the pain hadn't been shooting down my leg. And she said, "You're coming back in 2 days, and you're coming back in 2 days after that." And in 3 treatments, I had no sciatic pain. But I got to tell you, I had been, and I'm not one to ever go to massage or chiro or anything like that. And I got talked into doing that by my husband because I could not get out of bed. It was so painful. And when Katina saw me, and she said this, in 3 treatments, she had this pain completely gone. I was blown away. And I tell everybody I can, because it's, to me, I like the math and the science behind it, and it was like a miracle. And Katina, you started the infrared program at your clinic, what, a year and a half ago, maybe? It was right, maybe
Yeah,
2 years ago?
it's
Yeah?
almost 2 years. Actually, I did my first, I had acquired the technology, and I actually didn't launch it until I had put a mass email out to well, 1,000 of my clients. And I just said, I need 10 volunteers to do a study to see if this technology works. And originally I got it for fat reduction, because infrared is well known for reducing inflammation in the body. And what is fat is inflammation. So I ended up with like 36 clients who volunteered. So I took them all, put them in different groups, those who came once a week, those who would come 2 times a week, and those who'd come 3 times a week. And so I was kind of looking for more fat reduction, but what I got was really pain and inflammation. People were like, I couldn't walk, and now I'm walking. For me personally, I was using it for fat reduction, and for for the adipose tissue, reducing that. And I was paying chiropractors, physiotherapy, acupuncture. I think there was one more. And I was paying almost $400 a month trying to get my arms back to normal and mobile without pain. So I was seeing reductions in inches, but then what I was explaining this to a client, and all of a sudden I raised my arms up without, and realized I wasn't in pain. And that was like, So let's work on that piece. And so infrared technology it's been around since the turn of the century, the 19th century. And it's a technology that's used all over the world. It's just we in Canada are so behind. I'm not going to go into the medical details because I'm not a medical doctor, but in parts of Europe and Asia, they're using it for fighting cancer. They're using it for pain management, neuropathy, reconnecting the nerve endings again back into the system. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I've seen such amazing relief from our clients. It's been amazing, and I swear by it. I swear by it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
And the technology is really simple. It's light therapy, and it works very similar to what the sun does to the photosynthesis of the plant. Our version, I think it's I get this always confused, and my sons who've done biology were like, "No, Mom, APT, I think it's called. It's the production for the melanocytes, not melanocytes, it's for the mitochondria in the cells. It helps repair, heal, and revitalize. It's food for them. So it's really magical how it works, but it works on so many different things in the body, and people can YouTube it. It's really incredible.
It is truly amazing, and that is one of the things that Katina started really not too long before the pandemic first wave hit, if you will. So we're going to take our first break tonight, and when we come back, we're going to we'll ask Katina to share more with us about how she just launches this fantastic literally life-changing product and treatment, and then all of a sudden we're in this situation where you're not allowed to have contact with people. So let's take our first break for tonight. We're here with Katina Kritikos from Ethos Rejuvenation Centre for the whole night. Don't go anywhere. She will answer questions. We'll definitely make sure you have contact information to get a hold of her, because we will talk with her shifting of the business on how she can actually do some of her work virtually. So we'll talk to her a little bit about that. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Katina Kritikos, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Katina Kritikos. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Katina Kritikos, and I'm here with our very special guest, Katina Kritikos from Ethos Rejuvenation Centre in London, Ontario, Canada. And before we went to break, we just started talking a little bit about one of the new services that she had introduced just very few months before the pandemic had turned into a pandemic, and we were forced to make changes to the way we do business. So Katina, you had introduced the infrared, and then probably 6 months or something like that after that, you got this notice that you got to shut down and can't even be open. What do you do?
It was so scary, actually, because we, like the rest of the world, we really didn't know what we were dealing with. This was an invisible enemy, and we didn't know what we were dealing with and how serious the process was going to be. And not only did I have invested in the infrared technology, but I had 2 other devices that I've invested in, and you're paying your leases towards them and everything. Being in a brick and mortar type of business, The government took care of our staff, so we were lucky. They all went on to like EI, like almost everyone who had to close down. And don't forget, at that point in time, I think everyone closed down, and even restaurants and everything, because we didn't really know what we were dealing with. And restaurants slowly opened up for takeout, but our industry is personal care, so we're one-on-one with people in one room. So that we couldn't do anything. It was a complete closing of the business, 100% closed. So we couldn't see clients, we couldn't, forget hugging and handshaking. We couldn't touch their skin. We couldn't work on their bodies. We couldn't do laser hair removal. We couldn't do any of our services. And so we were left with a big question mark in our industry. What happens with, our rent, our utilities? Staff, of course, was taken care of, and that put a big load off my back. But then what happens to me? I'm a sole earner in my family. Like a lot of women say, well, I'm, single mom with 2 children or 3 or 4 or whatever. It's actually called sole earner. So it could be a man running his own business. It could be a woman running her own business. And they're the ones who are, their livelihood depends on their business doors being open and seeing people. We were at 0. And at that point, the government didn't put any, we were forced to close. There was really no mandates yet for us. Our staff was being taken care of. We know they went on EI, but what happens to us as employers and business owners? We were kind of left behind. We take the burden financially, and the risks as well. And of course, this is my passion, and I won't give it up for anything. But we weren't in a cushy government job. We weren't like, in any kind of position to make a living. That was being taken away from us. And we weren't told at that time that we're going to help you out. So there was a bit of a panic, but I have an amazing financial advisor who really helped me. I had, luckily, 3 months of savings for emergency for my business, and 3 months for home as well. Those were key for me to actually. I felt, when the government, at that time, we believed in, when they said we're going to close for 2 weeks, 2 became 4, 4 became 6, 6 became 8. Next thing you know, my industry was closed for almost 5.5 months. And, we did this calculation, I think a couple of weeks ago, and the business itself has been open 4 months within a 12-month cycle. And 2 out of those 4 months, we were in green. So that means that we could do everything in our clinic that we, possible. Red and orange didn't allow us to do facials until now. There's like precautions, that we did. So we had to learn to pivot really quickly. And that's the thing, the beauty of a small industry, we had to pivot,
And it's fair to say too, just to add on that, with not just the shock and the mandate of closing, because it wasn't an option, you also to reopen for some of those 4 months, there was a lot that now you've had no income because it's been closed, and you personally, because you're self-employed, don't qualify for the programs with EI and so forth. You also were required to change your protocol, which required purchasing other equipment and just generally increasing your costs because of hand sanitizers and cleaning stations and stuff like that, correct?
Absolutely. So yeah. Our industry, first and foremost, when we go into this industry, the training that we get for universal health precautions, preventative, infection control and preventative infections and such are rigorous to begin with. So we were already doing everything we knew how to do. Procuring masks, first of all, PPE was so difficult. I think after my first 4 weeks of initial shock and depression, I think we all went into like depression, anxiety, because we really didn't know what this was. And I came into the clinic, I thought I can't do this anymore. I was like, I was in a little hole at home and, researching and doing everything I can to possibly, what do I do? What are the next steps to keep open? And at that point in time, the Ministry of Middlesex Health Unit, which is our local health unit, and also the Ministry of Health of Ontario, the government of health in Canada, they really didn't have any protocols. Like, they had nothing in place for us to even like pivot to go to like catapult from. We had nothing. So I went back in and I sat here by myself for hours on end, focusing and thinking, okay, so this is a virus, this is what needs to happen. And I was breaking down every single step and procedure within our business, and creating a culture of it, as opposed to just, I could have easily withered and stayed in bed all day long, which I did for about 4 weeks. And then I really shook myself out, and like, I came in here and I thought, okay, what more do I need to do to protect our staff, ourselves, our family, our clients, and our community? Because it's not just about us, it's about all of us. And I think when you look at that, we all have to look at that perspective. Because if we all think, oh, I have to protect myself, well, yeah, we have to, and I'm compromised. I have asthma and I have high blood pressure, so I have to protect myself. When I thought we were going to be ready, I tried to procure plexiglass, and at that time, plexiglass was in a shortage, so I had to wait like 4 months to try and get it. So I asked the supplier, I said, okay, so what's the next thing? Glass. So we custom made our reception area. We closed it off with glass, which was much more expensive than plexiglass. Masks and PPE was so hard to purchase prior to, or should I say post, like in between the pandemic, throughout the pandemic. I was buying masks before COVID for $6.95 for 50. I started purchasing masks for $89 for 50 at one point. Like in the beginning, in April, May, June, the prices, we were being gouged. If you can find the masks, if you can find the PPE. We already had autoclaves, we had disinfectants, we had gloves. These are all things that we had. We had hospital grade disinfectant. These are things that we already had. So we didn't change a lot. I started all of our clients, we pre-screen, there's check-in for our clients at this point. We hired a company to set up touchless signing in, temperature checks. We got purifiers in each room, disinfectants in each room, new vacuum system, vacuum cleaner, and power wash in the floors. Slippers, clients can bring in their own shoes. They had to like take them off like at the front. So there was a 16-page manifesto. I called it the Health and Safety Manifesto, that I put together to help people. And it cost thousands of dollars in the time where we didn't have it, And many people say, oh, well, you got the 40 and then you got the other 20, but it's money that we have to pay back. We lost so much. And at that time, the government didn't put protocols in place for landlords to help, and our landlord chose not to be a part of COVID relief. So I was paying my rent throughout the pandemic. So that's thousands upon thousands of dollars that just went away very quickly in my savings account. So, but we have to pivot. Small business actually was very successful pivoting quickly. Hospitals, long-term care, schools even took a lot longer. But I think that small business, it's our livelihood. We came in fierce, and we opened, our doors safely. And that was my goal.
And a lot of people in your industry did not make a successful reopen. And there's some places that probably won't be reopening. Mm-hmm. And due to their inability, either their age, that they were in business and it was too soon, too much for them to handle, or they just didn't have that ability to be able to transition like you were able to. And that's one of the beauties of having the experience that you have. and knowing how your industry works too, especially your clinic in particular.
I think it's important for small business when very much so when people open a small business and then they start seeing finances, more money in the account, then they start kind of going for a bigger car, better car, trying to
Yep.
keep with the Joneses, then a bigger house, then all this, then they become kind of house poor and life poor, to be honest with you. So, my kitchen needed renovations, 30 years old. I chose to like put money towards my emergency accounts and things like that. So there's, even during the pandemic, we need a new fridge. I'm like gonna wait until it's done, like that it's actually gone. We had to sacrifice. My children had to sacrifice. We went from 2 cars to 1, and sacrificing other things too in life where, for all of us, we don't travel, we haven't seen family and friends at all, events, and I have godchildren in Montreal and Toronto. It's been almost 2 years since I've gone and seen them because I need to protect my business and my clients and my staff. So none of us, even my staff, we don't really venture out at this point because we know how crucial it is to kind of be mindful of this process,
Exactly. We are actually up to our second break of the night.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it goes so fast. And you know what? There's just so much. It's so awesome to talk to you. And I want to take our second break, and then we come back. I want to talk a little bit about how you did do some changes and you did a lot of online stuff. So we'll share that too. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take our second break of the night. You're listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network, and we will be right back.
Too many of us get caught up in the unreal lives of reality television and complete to acquire stuff, which is setting us up to accumulate lots of debt. We're scared, confused, and don't know who to talk to. By tuning into Financially Speaking radio show with financial advisor and educator Katina Kritikos, you'll learn tips you can use to improve your financial health, which in turn can improve your overall health and make for a very happy life. Live a life you can afford and enjoy. It is possible. Listen for Financially Speaking radio show every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Money is complicated, right? Actually, no, it's not. You don't have to be a trader on Wall Street to get a handle on your money. TV shows often instill fear to keep you believing you can't understand it or do anything yourself. If dealing with your finances brings up a lot of other F words, then you need to read All Ladies Should Use the F Word, A Guide to Loving Your Finances by Katina Kritikos. Kathy helps you take control of your finances and leave the other F word, fear, in the dust. This is the Financially Speaking Show with financial advisor and educator Katina Kritikos. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Kathy@bookkeepplus.ca. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Financially Speaking on the Inspired Choices Network. I am your host, Katina Kritikos, and we have a special guest with us tonight, Katina Kritikos from Ethos Rejuvenation Centre. And we've been talking about her, the early years, and then the kind of unique year, and how you did start to make some changes for sure in your clinic and doing some stuff online. I know I mentioned before that you have some of your services you can do online. Obviously, if you have to use the machines, you can't. But some of the stuff that you were doing online, maybe just share a little bit about that and how people can get a hold of you if they need you to do that.
So, you were mentioning earlier on in the interview that I am able to read, and there is like this whole empathic, the skin empath kind of in me. But I was doing a lot of like virtual consultations during the pandemic. and selling products. That was a big thing. That's kind of the only thing that helped. Was it anywhere near what we needed? No, like, but it was something to kind of help, a little bit along the way. So for me, I've set up a virtual consultation, and it was very successful. I would come in because I wouldn't do it from home. It was a way to get me to dress up again, to put makeup on, to do my hair, because at one point, we weren't even taking care of ourselves, and most of us, and we know from the successful reopening how many people how many people trusted us. And our industry came back or our business in particular came back very quickly. We were, as soon as we were allowed to do facials and other treatments, we came back really quickly. So when we were closed, virtual appointments were set up. So I did analysis of the skin. I was able to kind of go through, read people's skin, and even to the point where I found that I was actually consoling clients for 45 minutes sometimes, just doing therapy, people who've been with their kids for all day long, or alone, in some cases alone. So just a friendly voice, sometimes connected. I didn't make money that way, but for me, it was something that I needed also, because I am a people person. My sons were hugging me every single day because I couldn't hug anybody. It was such a tough time for all of us. But in our industry, we pivoted very quickly, and there were things that, when we were allowed to open on face red and orange, body care. That's one thing that we were allowed to do, was body. And I pivoted from facials focus to full body care. And that was a big pivot for me. So I didn't just say, I'm going to close until we actually can do facials. It's 80% of our business. My mindset was, let's bring clients back in, and whatever happens. And we were able to pivot very quickly with our services. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I guess, where are you at now? Like, where do you see yourself going forward? Like in the next, hard to say this year, but in the next 5 years, let's say, are you still going to be implementing the virtual? Are you going to try and do more online? Where do you see yourself going?
The beauty of this industry is that it's forever evolving. That's one of the things I love. My staff love it too. There's always something new coming out in the industry, a new technology, new types of facial treatments. I think the big thing is online for me. It's definitely what has taught me, is really focusing on an online store, online virtual consultations, connecting with people I'm teaching people skincare, because I'm in my 50s, mid 50s, and there are still people who've never had facials before, don't know how to properly cleanse and tone and exfoliate, change their moisturizers, every seasonal change. There's things that come up. We were able to pivot, and even this year, it took me, we have research, we have clients with hearing disabilities, and here we go. We have something that they can actually read our lips, and so finding these tools, and we have goggles, we have masks, we have shields, even for our facials, when clients feel that they're, we use the surgical masks that we're supposed to use, but I've spent countless of hours trying to find these, and they're masks that we put on clients during facials, because we're still in phase red and orange. Well, we're in orange now, so we can now do facials. I try not to limit myself. So if I think that there's something out there that can help us and follow the protocols that we need to follow, I'm gonna do it, because people need us as much as we need them. Clients, I've seen, nothing, no virtual, no online store, no nothing can replace the human contact of what we do. So people can go on and on about doing teaching seminars, and I'll do that for sure. I will be online, I will help out, I will have a store. But nothing, especially what we found when we started coming back, we had clients, breaking down in the rooms in tears. We did. Like, I remember when we had our first meeting, when we all came back, I was like, okay, this is what you do. Masks on, 6 feet apart, blah, blah. So before everyone came into the meeting, into our place, I had this, and I was changing my shoes at the front. Staff was already here, and they were in a big, huge hug, crying in each other's arms. We need this connection. We are human beings. We need the touch. We need the connection. We need, it's ironic that we have a governing body that says that we're not essential. Every business, every human on this planet, with whatever you do, it's essential for someone, for someone. It may not be to the politicians, but it is to someone. So it's crucial. And one thing it taught me too, especially most of us, when we started crime, we were like, we're not essential. It means like, it's almost erasing us off this planet, this industry off this planet, because personal care took it hard. It's a business that needs people, needs touch, needs connection. And we are beings that need to be connected. We need the community of each other, and the care of each other, the nurturing of each other, especially women. Women don't get this this kind of taken care of. We take care of everyone else, but we don't get taken care of by our husbands, our lovers, our friends, our kids. Women pay to be taken care of, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually very true. But you actually, that reminds me though, your clinic is, I know stereotypically people think it's just all women that go to clinics. And in a lot of cases, there's a lot of clinics that just are. But you are very unique in the sense that you have a fairly decent male clientele as well, don't you?
Absolutely. Skin is universal. We all have it. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. We all have it. The hair removal is big for men. Laser hair removal, facials lately, body care, skin tightening for men. Men are really, it's funny. I have 2 boys, 2 males, like they're teens actually, they're no longer boys. I wouldn't want them to go into some, a place of business and be turned away because they're male. I had decided back in 1997 that my clinic was going to be open to all people. And it's been very successful, especially this is not a pretty place. It's very artistic and creative, but there's nowhere that says, I'm only for females here. It really is a space that welcomes both men and women. And we've been fortunate enough to have about 21 to 22% of our clients are men, and women bring them in. Always women bring them in. They bring their young sons with teen acne. They bring in their husbands with a hairy back. They bring their husbands that have like really bad, blackheads and they can't get them. So women really are incredible. But now what I've seen the newest trend since the pandemic, is men are making these appointments. They're Googling us, they're looking for us, they're looking for these services, and they're coming in without the wives, the girlfriends, the moms, the relatives. So it's really amazing to see the shift in male consciousness. It really is.
Yeah, I have to share a quick story with you. I had sent a friend of mine and her daughter. Her daughter had been, and she's a teenager, and she told me she came over to see you first. Mm-hmm. And after she saw you, she called me and told me they had spent a fortune over the last 5 to 8 years on her skin. And they tried every product, every service, every place you could possibly, and they did a lot of traveling and actually were stationed in different parts of the world. And they tried everything in every country they were in. And one facial with you, she came over and you had analyzed her skin, the daughter. And I'm going to say it was like because Katina, you do custom stuff, I'm going to say, because you make it specific for someone, not one size fits all. And one facial with her, she was ecstatic. She was beside herself. And her mom said to me, she goes, I had no idea that one facial could make that big of a difference. It's never happened. And her husband, the father of the daughter, he was scheduled to come over and see you, and literally just before that is when you were shut down. And so he's coming after. But they were so impressed, and it's remarkable, because I don't think people understand. They'll see you and they'll talk to you and they're like, oh yeah, she does a nice job in her clinic. It's literally life changing. And what you did for that teenager, that she had been, because I've heard you talk about, and I don't hear anybody else talk about, to be honest, in other areas in your industry, it's not just about being beautiful, it's about the confidence, and it's about the feeling of worthiness. And it's incredible how much pressure people put on themselves because of how they look. And that's the stuff that you have helped and worked with people on, and specifically this one girl that I know. So I had to share that story, because I know you have tons and tons of them, but for the stories to come back to me, usually they just want to talk to me about money, but they had to tell me about how great their experience was with you, which I was super grateful they did, because I know how great you are and I've seen your work, but to have somebody go out of their way to tell me about it was pretty cool.
What's really, we're so honored and grateful to be taking care of people. We don't see you as a dollar sign. We see you as a human being who we want to help. And you're right, like earlier you mentioned, I've chosen the staff in here because they are passionate. They want to help. That is why we took it so serious during the pandemic and post-pandemic. Well, we're not even post yet, but safety and health is important. But what we do is very different. We customize every single treatment for clients. We are constantly shifting. I have 200 treatments, or products in our cabine, which we pull from. So if you pay for this facial, you sometimes know we have to shift it because your skin needs this, and we're customizing it for you. And that's the difference. Having a good product line, good devices, medical devices, also healing hands, make the world of difference. And every single person is an individual coming in, and we are customizing it based on your, you have to look at the environment that you live in, your hormonal activity, your stress levels, because that affects your skin, your diet. What are you taking? What medications are you taking? We look at everything as a whole when we're analyzing. And when I do an analysis, I do what's called, it used to be called Oriental Diagnosis, but now we're calling it it's an ancient diagnosis of the skin. It's road mapping the skin. And I was one of the first to do that in London. I had taken, right after I graduated in 1996, I also took a course on just on how the Chinese diagnosed skin in the ancient times, and not only the ancient Greeks and the Ayurvedics, and there's so much history that we know has that's come to fruition here. So I use all of those techniques. I use everything. It's not just one cookie cutter method.
That's exactly true. And that's one of the things that always amazes me and impresses me at the same time, and kind of scares me, because I think, oh my gosh, how can you do that? Because it's not just that. I mean, for me, what I do, I'm looking at people's money. Money has no feelings. Money doesn't love you, doesn't not love you, doesn't have any feelings for you at all, right? So I can look at it and I say, here's money, put it here, move it there, add and subtract how we do it. It's very personal, but money itself has no feelings. So I'm not worried about hurting money's feelings if I don't put it someplace. But you are actually dealing with people's their whole self-worth, quite frankly, because you can't see their money. Like, unless they're carrying around, opening up their wallet, you can't see what they have, but you can see their skin.
Right. And what we're seeing now, especially the trend is, it's the confidence that's being built. My whole logo is be your own kind of beautiful. It's not about, and beauty is from within first. If you're not a good and happy, radiant being from the inside, your skin's also going to reflect that. It's really beauty from within, health from within, radiance from within. And then what we do is we just clean up all of the other stuff. And yeah, I love it is, when we see people shifting and changing in one treatment, it's like it's a kid in a candy store kind of scenario. We're like so excited, and we're probably more excited than the clients themselves. Like, it's so funny because my staff come up and they're like, "You've got to see their skin," and I literally pull out of my own clients sometimes just to see the other person's skin, and that they're crying. Some of them are crying. They're like, "My skin's never looked so good," and we focus. We have some teens who have severe hormonal influxes in their body, and I would be the first. They've gone to doctor after doctor for their acne, and I'm like, have you thought of doing a blood work to see if your hormone levels are good? And their doctors never approach that. Or when we see lots of hair and acne combination, it's a thyroid, it's a hormonal imbalance, female hormones imbalance specific. Like, we have polyovarian cystic syndrome, and it's incredible that I have to be the one to tell the clients, go and get your hormones checked, and when we do, we find out, so this is how we treat you if this is what it is. And so it's really incredible that we have that, and we're so blessed. And my industry is it's a very funny industry because it's all about beauty, and it's a beauty. I call it the fake enhancements, the injectables, the machines, this and that. What I use, the machines and the devices that we have, yes, medically graded, amazing machines, amazing technology, but they're using your own collagen, your own elastin fibers, your own cells' ability, your own DNA's ability to heal itself. So when we're looking at acne, we have the IPLs, which help the skin reduce redness and bacteria. Then we also have firming, toning, tightening. We can do sun damage, but we're using your own DNA's ability to survive and thrive. So that's what I love about this industry. I really do.
Oh, and that is perfect for me asking you because we're getting close to the end of our time, believe it or not. And don't tell the producer, but we kind of blew through the last break. So Kim, we won't tell Kim till later. She doesn't know. How can people get a hold of you? Because I don't want to forget to get that out there. So if someone's listening or someone's watching and they're like, I need to talk to her, and either confidentially or whatever, how do they get a hold of you?
Okay, so I'm going to leave a couple of different avenues here. One is to email us. It's info@ethosskincare.com. Personal is katina@ethosskincare.com. Phone number is 519-619-9189. That's actually our texting number. Sorry. Our phone number in the clinic is 519-601-8881. Also, if your guest would like to download via text, I'll give you the number. It's 1-888-210-6509. If they text Ethos, ETHOS, they will get a whole bunch of coupons for our clinic as well that they can use. So
cool.
So it's 1-888-210-6509. So the number just got changed. It was a simple number earlier, but so 1-888-210-6509, Ethos, ETHOS. And then you get all these wonderful coupons to use. So if you sign up for the rewards, you'll be able to see all of our promotions that we have and everything as well. So yeah.
That's fantastic. So I encourage anyone who's watching either and listening either live or when we broadcast in our podcast locations, which is over 200 platforms now, please reach out to Katina. We're out of time, but I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to have you back again. And we will definitely catch up on what's new in the industry and how things are going for you. And I'm so grateful that you joined me tonight. Next week, we're going to carry on with our series on small business and how they are very, very, very important to our market and our economy. So join us again on Monday nights, right here on the Inspired Choices Network. And
thank you for choosing to listen to Financially Speaking Radio Show. Kathy Cook Noble will return next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and 1 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.